Episode 101 of the podcast. What do I say? What words do I use? I hear this a lot. I want him to understand no. I need him to understand no. Or I want to learn more about dog training because I want to know what words to use. Like how can I be using my words? So today we get more into how we're going to use our words. You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, a certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet. What words should I use? I hear this one a lot. What words should I use? Or I want to learn more about training so I know what to say to the dogs. Or owners like, well, if you're telling me I shouldn't say no, what should I use instead? Oh boy. So here's the key. Here is the key. Use the words you've taught. I know it sounds so obvious, right? There are no words that a dog has been born knowing, right? You have to teach the word that you want to use. And you have to teach it with a variety of distraction levels. So if it's super distracting and out of context and lots of things are happening, your dog is less likely to be able to understand what you're talking about and follow instructions. So you have to build up to that. But I have a lot of customers who are like, well, you just told me not to use no, but what am I supposed to say? Bad? Bad. Like, no, that's not what we're doing right now. So what happens is, if a dog knows how to do something, so for instance, if you can call your dog to you, right? Now your dog is not lunging away from you. If you can call your dog to you, if you can say their name and get eye contact, that's something rewardable. That's something that has context, right? That's something that we have taught. They understand. I don't know if you can hear the sniffing, but one of my guys is over here sniffing the mic. He's hearing all these words. He's like, yeah, okay, I could do those things. What are we up to? But I want you to be thinking about those words have been taught, okay? And each word has only one meaning. So if an owner really insists on using the word no, that can only mean one thing. So is it going to mean don't bark? Is it going to mean don't get in the trash? Is it going to mean don't eat the sandwich off the coffee table? Right? Like a word for a dog can only mean one thing, and we have to be very, very specific. So what words do we teach our dogs? Well, that's going to depend. But when we want to just teach them no or to say no, right? What we're really trying to do is express how upset we are and make them stop. And I know why we do that. So for instance, a customer who is really frustrated that her dog is barking. She's holding her in her arms and her dog is really barking. And you know what? I totally sympathize, right? Barking is so stressful for people. Think about that for a minute. Like the behavior problems or growling or lunging or not being good for nails. Like this is really stressful on their owners, and their owners want to make it stop. And I feel for them, right? However, it's not about the word. It's not about the word that we use. I don't care if we call it turnip or armadillo, if the word we use means something specific. Now, part of why I don't say the word no very often in grooming and why I advise you guys not to is not because wishy-washy, granola crunchy hippie and it hurts their feelings. It's because no at home has often meant go away. Stop what you're doing, run off, go away. And that's not really something a dog can do on our table. And it's so common that I just kind of assume it's the default setting for what most dogs are learning at home for no. Or it means absolutely nothing. Nothing. It means nothing. Repeat it after me. Owners who say no all the time, their dogs don't hear it, right? If you say no all the time, your dog is blissfully ignoring you. So the owners who say no all the time, yeah, their dog probably has no clue what's going on, doesn't care, right? I have a little guy right here beside me who's apparently very interested in podcasting today. He doesn't care if someone sounds upset. That's not his problem, right? He cares if I give him instructions, and he's eager to follow instructions, but those instructions have been taught. So I also avoid the use of the word good for another reason, because what I've found over many, many years is that so many dogs in the home, good means you're done. Like if you tell them to sit and they sit and you say, good, that dog pops right up. Yep, pops right up. You know why? Because you told him he's finished. So in a grooming setting, I kind of assume that no and good have come to mean I can go away in most homes. Not all, but most. So I find that they aren't real useful for us in the grooming setting. And if it does mean something, it means something pretty specific. Sometimes good means I'm getting a cookie. A lot of homes where that's the case. You tell a dog he's good and not give him cookies, he's going to start getting frustrated. So if we can avoid some of the things that we think dogs know, unless an owner specifically tells us, by the way, we've been working on something specific. But the frustration level of saying no is really an important factor too, because we tend to say it thinking that we're expressing how upset we are, and that dog should follow those instructions. And I know where that comes from. God, and sometimes it's just so nice to just belt out a good solid no. But I want you to observe the behavior of the dog in front of you, and does it work toward ending the behavior they were doing? Or is that behavior continuing, even though you say no an awful lot? Is it continuing? Then it wasn't punished. It wasn't reinforced. It was reinforced if it's continuing. Sometimes we're saying no and we're engaging in an argument, a wrestle, and some dogs really enjoy a good argument and a wrestle. Right? Some dogs are not going to be, thwarted by that. They're like, yeah, bring it. I'll fight you all day. Right? And then we say things like what? He's stubborn. Oh, yeah, he's stubborn. Or, oh, he's a terrier. That's what terriers do. Tell you what, when somebody starts talking about stubborn or a terrier, I instantly know that they haven't really found out what makes this dog tick yet. I know, but wait, I was told that some dogs are just stubborn. If we're teaching them what we do want them to do, if we teach them what we want them to do, they will very, very often do it. Stubborn tends to get used when we're frustrated and a dog is frustrated and we're just not getting along, right? It's different than I'm choosing to not listen to you. Nope, I know all about how I have to stand for you to put me in a schnauzer pattern, but I just choose not to listen to you. Like, do you really think the schnauzer knows exactly how they have to stand for you to get his eyebrows right? Probably not. Probably not. But the words matter only if they have actually been taught to mean something. And like I said, I avoid a couple of words because I find that so often what they have been taught isn't what the owners think, right? If no in most homes means now walk away or run off because mom's mad, it's not helpful on a grooming table. So we probably shouldn't engage in using that word if this dog is expecting to be able to run away from the trash can. Oh, mom's mad, I'm going to run off, right? Or don't bark or go off in the other room, right? They can't go off in the other room. The context is very, very different than what they hear at home. If good means now you're done or now you get a cookie, then that's not a context we're able to use in the grooming table either. So when we talk about training words, right? Like, oh, well, I want to learn more about training so that I understand what words these dogs know. If you're a dog owner, all right, as a groomer, if you're a dog owner, you probably already are doing the kind of things that they're doing at home too. It's not like there's some hidden code that the dogs have learned, that really you have to think about. Learning more about dog training is super important because it helps you teach a word that you want. It can help you teach what you want to know, what you want the dog to know, rather, or what we want to know, right? But it's not like there's some magic word. And I hear it so often. I got to say, almost every single person who contacts me about training asks me about, I want him to understand no. Yeah, wouldn't that be great, huh? Don't do that. And by the way, don't do that means 2,000 different things, and I'm not going to clue you in on any of them until you make a mistake. You know, that's not a good learning environment. So it's not about the word, like there's some magic word that you should be saying. So what do we do when the dog is overwhelmed and all of the words that might have been taught at home are useless for grooming? And that's where we find ourselves. That's a lot of the time. And that's what we're going to talk about next. If you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes, and tell all of your friends. If we aren't using good or no, or we aren't using any of the words that dog training words would normally be, if the dog is overwhelmed and we don't know if they know anything, which frankly most of them do not. In the grooming setting, most of them have no idea. There are no words for them, right? Maybe up to help them hop up onto a lowered table, or still, or stand, maybe. But even sit up on a table or in a tub doesn't make a whole lot of sense to a dog if they haven't practiced it in those areas. So what we're often working with is a dog who is frustrated or scared or overwhelmed or overly silly. You know, all of those things are the problem behaviors that we run into, right? That's the dog who's going to be harder to groom. And what we're left with is using our body language, our voice, the atmosphere, and the mood to help them calm down, and to keep them calm, to ideally keep them calm, but to help them calm down if they become overly silly, overly aggressive, overly whatever. I want you to think about, we're going to try to set the mood, which is different than give cues. Words are cues, and cues are things that can be followed. Cues are very specific. Stand on one foot, right? If I told you as a human who speaks English to stand on one foot, you could probably do that. If I told you no, does that mean to not stand on 2 feet? You have no idea. So words have to be very, very specific. And most of our dogs are not coming to a grooming setting knowing any words that are constructive for grooming. So we have to use our mood and help them calm down, or help them be calm. And then we can start adding words. So what I mean by that is, sometimes it's referred to as like the energy you bring to the grooming. But instead of talking about it in terms of energy, I want to talk about it in terms of things that we can measure, which is loose body language, softer voice, slower talking, right? Those things are soothing. Somebody's starting to fall asleep as I talk like this, which is different than my normal chipper kind of talking, right? So when you think about the mood that we set, the tone that we set is part of how we're going to handle dogs. And that's not necessarily dog training. That's part of handling. It's like, okay, I need to help establish this isn't silly time, and this isn't frantic bark off time, and this isn't eat groomer day. Okay, we're going to calm everything down and assume that this dog has no cues that are associated to grooming unless we have taught them or we have owners specifically working on something. Assume that they don't have a word yet that will mean anything to them in this context. So relax with them. Talk to them. But talking to them just for the sake of them hearing your voice, and see if that calms them down. If that is arousing, if that is overstimulating, then don't talk to them. And just be calm and kind of quiet. And actually, I will say, for some dogs that are being a little silly and they're a little bit out there, if you talk really low, right? Think about yourself. You were just starting strain into here, maybe thinking about the volume, right? Some of the dogs will actually tone it down a little bit. Like they're straining to listen, like, speak up, groomer, I can barely hear you. And their behavior changes a little bit when they start straining to listen, which is kind of fun and kind of cool, and you should use it. But I want you to think about the body language that we use when we're trying to calm a dog down. And that's where a lot of groomers start talking about like the energy they bring to it, or some of the older school trainers will start talking about like packing up, things like that. Like, okay, well, he needs to understand I'm part of his pack and we're going to walk together. But what you're really doing is through body language showing that I am not being threatening. I am not actively angry. I am not being aggressive toward you. My body language is that of confident and calm and in control, right? And that body language is sometimes read as energy. And I'm not downplaying energy, just that I'm being more scientific about it so that people who are not at all interested in the topic of what energy you bring can say, oh, wait, I can be calm and I can be confident and I can be non-threatening. And I can try to be, look, buddy, I'm your friend and I'm here to put you in a pretty haircut. And I'm here to help remove that big wad of eye goo in front of your eye, that presence that you bring. And that can be measured and that can be replicated, right? That's not abstract like energy. That's something that we can definitely work on to be calm. And if the dog doesn't know any useful terms for grooming, anything useful, anything cue-wise that they could do in a grooming setting, then we can use that presence, that affect, that we can help ourselves be the role that helps that dog be calmer. Put yourself in the role of, I am here to help you be calm. Calm you down. Everything's fine. And then we can add words. And what I mean by add words, see, now that's another whole, that's a whole weekend seminar. It's adding words, but adding things. And that's why I will often use nice instead of good dog. I start adding nice, and maybe a pet, maybe a little bit of petting, nice, or release the foot, nice, and release the foot without doing anything, or holding the head still and just say nice, or I'll bring a tool over. I'm like, shears, and make this shear sound, or clipper. Let them observe the clipper, put it up next to them in the way that I'm going to use it, and then turn it on, like loud noise. Turn it on, clipper, now next to them, where I'm going to use it, brush that area with a finger, bring the clipper over. I can add words that are now in a context. And some of that process is naming and explaining. A little bit different than this is the way you must behave while I'm using a clipper. But hey, I can introduce these tools. This one's a brush. This is the kind of sound it makes. This is where I'm going to brush. This is where I'm going to brush. Now I'm placing the brush. Now I am brushing. They're all different parts of teaching a dog about brushing. Why not? Why not? But I'll tell you, dogs that I work with on a pretty regular basis, if I tell them, like, okay, loud noise, they're expecting a dryer or a clipper or a clipper vac, because I've named loud noise every time I turn on something loud. So they're expecting it. They have caught on. So you could say that it's a cue to tell them what is going to happen next. Loud noise. And they kind of brace for it. I watch them kind of brace for it and look up like, okay, prepared. If I say loud noise and the dog's like, oh God, and I haven't even turned it on yet, I'm like, ooh, okay, let's check your ears. Like, is there a health problem going on? Because usually you're pretty good for it. But it's okay to give them a heads up of what we're doing. And then to add some things like nice or whoops. That's not what we wanted. Whoops. But we can't just assume that there's a word that dogs are going to know. God, it frustrates me so much. If you get nothing out of this, there is no one word. We're not going to replace no with bad dog or bad dog with or bad dog with quit or, that's not how this works. That's not how training works. And we want to take a training view of what is happening. And if those cues and those words that they hear at home do not apply to the setting that they're in and are probably never going to have their owner in that setting, we can work on some new ones, right? I'll tell them, here comes the water, right? Over the head, over the ears, this is your shoulder. I just start telling them what I'm doing. And that alone can help a dog feel a little bit calmer when they start realizing, like, okay, there's a rhythm to this. And she's telling me what's going on. Eventually they do catch on. Like I said, those dogs that I say loud noise, they brace for it. They're like, yep, here it comes. If I don't say loud noise, sometimes I jump. Because I'm not always on my game and I don't always say every part of a grooming, right? In the beginning, it's a very handy tool. Later, you don't need to describe every bit of grooming. There's a point where a dog that I've been grooming for a while, well, naturally, I've been toweled off, dryers next. I mean, they catch on to how things work, how things are done. So it really is an important key piece for us all to be thinking about, that a cue is something that we spent time teaching. There is no one word that we're going to say. And sometimes we say no or quit or bad dog or even good just out of frustration, like just for this lack of I don't know what else to say. So if you're having trouble with what to say nothing. And it's hard. It's really hard to do. Say nothing. Be present. Be calm. Be confident. Be friendly. Confident and friendly with a dog who is being kind of nervous around you or frustrated by what you're doing. It reads as this person isn't trying to hurt me. Just through our body language, we can try to express, I am not here to hurt you, before they start really learning about what we're doing. Learning is a little bit more than just telling them what we don't want. We want to teach them what we do want. That's that behavior building mindset that I want us to be in. I want to build the behavior I like. They're obviously offering you some nugget of something that you like. So what does that mean? Well, let's face it. If a dog doesn't want to do something, there are ways they can totally refuse, right? And I think sometimes we forget that. We're like, oh, well, and he was really hard to handle. But he allowed himself to be put in a position where you were handling him. Oh, no, he didn't. Not really. Yeah, a dog that doesn't want to be put on a grooming table or put in a bathtub can totally refuse. Those are the dogs that are untouchable, right? Those are the dogs that, we're like, his owner couldn't get a muzzle on him. The dog is biting at his owner, trying to not even come through the door. You know what I mean? Like, they can totally refuse if they chose to. What we see as troublesome behaviors are often dogs who have been a little bit of give and take. Like, they're like, listen, dude, I let you get me in the bathtub. I let you scrub me down. I'm mostly soaked. I just don't want you touching under my tail, right? They've already offered a whole bunch of stuff that we like, and we missed it because we're so focused on just getting the job done and pointing out when they're wrong, right? Stop that. I want you to be in a mindset of where you want to build that good stuff. So a dog who is really having trouble, but is on your table and not trying to fling themselves off to their death, like, they're actually working with you. Think about that for a minute. How much harder they could make life if they weren't actually participating. Most of these dogs are participating. They're actively paying attention and trying. So we have to think about where are the points when we can tell them, hey, I liked that. Hey, I liked that. And I usually use nice for that. Nice. And they catch on. They catch on really pretty quickly. And that's sort of a cue that I give them just to tell them, like, hey, that's the moment of approval. I might back off. I might give you a pet. I might remove the tool. I might continue. But that's going to start to mean something because I'm teaching the word. It's not just about, well, she said instead of doing it this way, I should use the word nice. Nice, be nice, nice. Like, oh, that's not it at all. We're not just being reactionary and trying to stop what's going on. And it's so common when we get frustrated, right? So if you're not sure what to say, don't say anything. Just be confident, right? Be confident, be calm, try to be friendly. And friendly doesn't mean like overtly friendly, like, oh, hi, how's a good buddy? Some dogs love that. Some dogs do not. Some dogs really find that frustrating. But to be friendly could be, hi, bub. Hi, let's get you on the table. Yeah, good. Oh, nope, we don't eat the groomer. Yeah, I know. I mean, just the stupid little things you can do with your voice, just tone of voice, just being calm, being in charge, helping them feel safe. If your body language is set to helping them feel safe, they're going to start to get that message. If you'd like more information, you can find me at Chrissy@happycritters.net, happycrittersdogtraining.com, or you can join the Facebook group, Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast, or the Facebook page, Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I really look forward to hearing from you. If you're ready to go beyond the podcast, and I hope you do, I've made it really easy for you. If you go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step, you'll see all of the options. There's the Scholar Lounge community, there's the Modern Grooming Professional Certification, there's Master Canine Stylist and Professional Canine Stylist Diploma testings, there's the Behavior Lab for coaching and private one-on-one sessions with me, and of course, the Master Groomer Behavior Specialist program. So go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step.